just to start off with, I thought we'd just go over some of the benefits of email marketing, just to sort of remind ourselves why we're doing this, and there's for any point. So email still gives a good return on investment. A lot of the stats are in dollars, but you can see the kind of return that you get in there if you change that into pounds. That is a very sweeping figure because it really depends on the type of email marketing that you do. So that's, you're taking a lot of data there and coming up with one amount. The thing about email that gives you the edge is that you can make it targeted and personalized. So Andy was talking about using Word and mail merge, which traditionally was brilliant for printed letters and things like that. And in the early days of email marketing, we used to use Word with an Excel spreadsheet as our data set and merge the emails out there. But one of the things it really doesn't give you, and Andy touched on this, is the metrics. It doesn't tell you what's happening. So, but it does let you do that personalization, dear and a name, and also when you start sort of integrating your email system with other software, you can also pull other data out of there. So we've got our MailChimp, and we also use Sendinblue sometimes as well, but our MailChimp is integrated with our website, it's integrated with our CRM system. So you can pull data out of things to make the personalization a little bit more relevant. It builds customer loyalty. Even if people are not buying from you at the moment, it reminds them that you're there. So if you've sold a product or a service and then someone has not heard from you for months and months and months, the next time they need to buy that product or service, they may just go out and look for another provider. But if they've had a regular email from you, even if it's only once a month, your name will be front of their mind when they think about that service. And also you're adding value. Whenever you're putting information out there, helping your customers and sending them regular communications, you're the one adding value rather than your competitors because they're reading your content. So it does build customer loyalty to keep that regular communication going. It also builds credibility. And if you think about the sort of emails that you receive, that you subscribe to, that you get from your suppliers, when you're judging, and it is quite sort of subliminal, when you're judging the quality and credibility of a company, the more communications you've seen from them, the more expert knowledge, advice, tips, information, blog articles, content, the more they seem credible in your mind. So you are going to trust that company more and more likely to buy from them. Brand recognition is an obvious one, isn't it? You keep reminding people about your brand, they're going to remember to buy from you. If we've not seen a brand for a while, it goes out of our head. The ones that pop up all the time on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook are the ones you think about when you think about that product or service, because it's in your mind, because that message has been there subliminally in your subconscious. It strengthens relationships. I've found that customers that we've not heard from for months and months and months, they've been receiving our emails, they might not have been opening them, but something will just catch their eye in one email and they'll phone you about it, or they'll email you about it. So if we hadn't been communicating with that customer, we'd have probably never heard from them again. But because they're getting that regular communication, something strengthens that relationship with us because we've provided something of use. It could take months, could take weeks, but it keeps strengthening that relationship. And finally, back to what we were saying with the Word stuff, it provides you with metrics. You can measure who opened it, who clicked it, how long did people have the email open for, how many times did they open it. One of the things I find quite interesting in the metrics is customers that opened an email more than once, and if they clicked on different links in different instances of opening that email. And you can get quite a lot of insight into how your customers are thinking, what they like, what resonates with them by their behaviour when they receive the email. And finally, it helps boost sales. So we've talked a lot about newsletters, and I think most people would focusing on newsletters when we were talking about how you use email marketing, but there's a lot more to it than just newsletters. And we'll get into that a little bit further on with some of these slides. So we've gone through the benefits. We tend to split marketing email campaigns into two sets, and they are emails that are for engagement and transactional emails. And by transactional emails, I mean things that are generated by transactions that happen with your customers. And I'll go into that in more detail in the next slide. So engagement emails, one of the really, really valuable ones, and I think something that we all miss with email newsletters in particular, is that first touch, that welcome, thank you for signing up. So just a little show of hands, or you can put something in the chat. How many of you, when someone signs up to your mailing list, send them a personalised or a thank you or a welcome, thank you for signing up, here's what to expect from our newsletter in the future, or anything like that? Or do you just let them go into the list and they sit there until you send out your next generic email to everyone?
For me, it's the second one. I don't do a welcome one.
Right.
Jessica, I've just started doing that, and that's off the back of launching my YouTube channel and being able to see who's subscribed and being able to, and then I've said, thank you very much for subscribing. Please let me know what content you'd like. So I'm doing a lot more insight to understand what do they want, and therefore I can provide what they want.
Yeah, yeah. Does anyone not send anything? Does anyone just let them go in the list?
I have done that in the past, just let them go in the list.
I don't tend to send anything out, to be honest. Mine are all very much as you described, transactional emails, and I'm definitely missing a trick. So I'm at like day one.
So there's a couple of different ways with the welcome emails. It could be this just basic onboarding. So if someone signs up, and particularly if you're using something like MailChimp, there are features in there that you can use to do this. Have a thank you email that goes out. Thank you for signing up to our list, or thank you for subscribing to our newsletter, and actually also give them a bit of an intro to what they're going to benefit from signing up. So we will be sending you regular information, tips, tricks, blog articles, that sort of thing, on a weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, however often it is basis. These are the benefits you're going to get from it, and sort of welcome them in, make them feel warm and fuzzy, just like you would with a new customer. You're onboarding them into your list. They're starting on the journey through your funnel, aren't they? So welcome emails get a really, really good response. People like it. What a lot of us are doing is educational emails. And one of the mistakes a lot of businesses make when they see we're going to send out an educational email, we're going to educate our client base, we try to educate them on our products and our services and what we can do for them. And we think that we're educating them by telling them everything about our business and what we can do. And really what we should be doing is thinking about adding value. So anything that you're going out and you're putting information out there, don't just go, you need this service and this is what I can provide. Actually think about what is the issue and how can I add some value before the sale? Can I write an article that gives them some information, help them with the problem? You know, give them a little bit to reel them in. Could be instructional. So we quite often will send out help files to customers and things like that. In the past, we've just sent out instructional emails of one-on-one. Here's how to set up your email when you've moved over to our hosting, or I might do a screen grab video and send that in an email. But those tend to be one-to-one, don't they? Sometimes you find the same customers or a range of customers all asking a similar question. So think about how you could help a group of customers, a set of a target audience, if you like, with instructional emails that teach them something. And you can actually do that with a video that you link to in the email, and you give them a bit of a preview of what it's about. But it's not just marketing. If you can put out instructional emails, things that help people, that's still marketing, because you're still adding value for them. Stories about your customers and about your brand. When we open emails, we quite often just presented with sort of little short, sharp newsletters, sort of bullet points, read more, a little bit of an excerpt, that sort of thing. But actually, if you've got something really interesting to say, or you've got a story to tell, and you can actually start the email off as a story, people will read on, because we like to read a story rather than some marketing blurb. And if you get the subject line right, so you've got the hook there, you're really getting them pulled in and saying, this is, you know, an experience of an existing client, and it's something interesting. It could be that there's some comedy, it could be that there's something a bit heart-wrenching about it, but stories always resonate better across all forms of marketing. So if you can tell a story in your email, or even start a story off that hooks them in and gets them to click to read more, even better. And you can, for those of you, a lot of you are saying you send a regular newsletter, all of these elements can go into one engagement email. Yeah, it can have some educational elements, some instructional elements, some stories. And then finally, we've started with welcoming, we've done all the sort of adding value stuff, re-engagements as well. And this is where metrics can come in quite usefully. And I've done this before with our CRM system. Use email to re-engage people you've not heard from for a while. Don't just send the same email to your whole list. Pick off the ones who haven't read your newsletter in the last 3 months, or haven't purchased anything from you in the last 6 months, and send them something a little bit more targeted to re-engage them. You know, hi, we've not heard from you in a while. How's everything? How's business? Is there anything we can help with? Here are some free resources links that we thought you might find useful. It'd be nice to hear from you, and actually try and encourage that re-engagement. When I first started doing marketing workshops, one of the sort of core things that I used to have to get across, and this is the early days when we were first going digital, was the difference between a dialogue and a monologue in marketing. Because old-fashioned marketing is a dialogue, isn't it? A monologue, sorry. It's just you talking and they can't answer back. So if you think about like a newspaper advert, a magazine, an advert on the side of a bus, a billboard at the side of the road, a flyer, a traditional letter that we used to send out, it's all one way. We're not getting any feedback. And I think what happens with social media, with email marketing, with websites, with all forms of digital marketing, is that traditional mindset's sometimes still there, and we talk at people rather than it being a conversation, a dialogue. And so I think what we need to try and do more with email is get more engagement, put some calls to action in there and get them to actually reply. And please don't ever send emails out that say no reply at, because if you are trying to engage with your customers, the worst thing to do is to say, here's all my marketing blurb, I want you to listen and purchase from me. I don't want to hear back from you. I don't want to email you, but I don't want you to email me back. And that's really the wrong message, isn't it? So I would always say, try and build some engagement in to those engagement emails. That's what they're about. Okay, so moving on to transactional emails. Mark, you said most of yours are transactional. So what sort of transactional emails do you send?
Mine are just, so I'll usually get, work tends to come in through Google, really. 95% of it is through Google, or maybe a bit less, but because there's recurring customers as well. But so it'll be, hi, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. But then it'll be, I'd like to book this course. So it's just finding out details about who they want to book, how many people, get all their details, bits and pieces, send them reminders, send them review things afterwards, let them know that they're running out of qualification further down the line, but that's it. And I have a really big space between booking a person and them coming round again. Unless they've got a bigger company, they've got more people coming through, I have a huge gap of like 2 3/4 years, which is horrendous, I know. So yeah, mine are very much transactional, and it's just not good enough.
Yeah. So those transactional emails, they tend to be just one person at a time, don't they? Are any of them automated? Or are you doing that all manually?
I've just started to do them automated, which seems to work a bit, but my fear is with automated ones that they just look automated, and they just I kind of like in some ways when people don't try and hide they're automated. This is a robot, because you can tell straight off. But yeah, I've started down the automated route, but doing the individual ones takes a huge amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's a barrier to growth, isn't it? That's the thing. So I think there are lots of really good integration systems now that allow you to automate a lot of your transactional emails. And people are used to it. So I wouldn't worry too much about that sort of automation, robotic email type stuff, because when we place an order and we purchase something, we generally expect some sort of transactional email. One of the things that transactional emails really, really work well for, and I don't know if we've got anybody on here who's doing any e-commerce, but is the abandoned cart. And I'm sure we've all received one like this. This is a really good example from Birchbox. You've left a couple of things in your cart, but also very cleverly, they also suggest something else you might want to buy. So you may have left those items in your cart because you've decided that they're not actually the right items for you, but we're going to suggest something else you might want to buy as well. So those sorts of transactional emails are obviously automated from an e-commerce system. If you're using MailChimp, and also Constant Contact, we've started using for this as well as a client, you can link MailChimp into your e-commerce system and then get it to automatically send cart abandonment emails. So that can be really, really handy to pull people back who have dropped out of the checkout process. Another transactional email is promotions. So like I was saying about sort of sending to people who haven't bought from you for a while, just promoting yourself is fine. And if they purchased from you before, then I think sometimes people hold back from these sort of really in-your-face promotional emails, especially if you're business to business, because we know how much people don't like being sold to. But using, say, voucher codes and different offers, different landing pages, you can also try out different techniques and see which promotional emails work best for you. So experiment with it, try it out, get those promotions out there. Again, with an e-commerce system, you can automate some of that. So you can automatically send promotions to someone who's purchased something, and then, for example, if they purchase a product that has a certain shelf life, then they're going to want to purchase it again in a month or 2 months. You could then have automatic promotions going out for that. Receipts, obviously. If someone's purchased from you, you're sending out a receipt. Usually it's the e-commerce system that's doing that, but you might be doing that manually if you're providing a service. But every email you send is an opportunity for marketing. So don't just send, hi, here's your receipt. Put something in there, promoting other services and things like that. If anyone uses things like QuickBooks and Xero, for invoicing, you can change the templates of the emails that get sent out. And when you receive an email, a lot of people don't do this. When you receive payment, you can usually send a confirmation of receipt of the payment email through your account system, and that can be a templated thing where you can have some promotions in there which can change month to month, and you can send out that personalized thank you for your custom type email. And then once they've bought, follow up again. Sales follow-ups. How did you find the service? How did you find the product? Use email. These are the sorts of email people don't mind receiving because they've already engaged with your product or your brand or your service. So a sales follow-up is a really, really good way of cementing that relationship, and then opens up the opportunity to ask for reviews. How many people actually ask for a review off every client who purchases from you? Mark, very good.
Yeah, I ask for testimonials, and when people have bought my book, I ask them if they'd be willing to leave an Amazon review, and I'll then direct target those people and say, you know, how have you found the book? What were the best bits from it? And then once they've given me that, ask, can I use that then in terms of my social media, but can you also leave me an Amazon review?
Brilliant. That's really good, Claire. Yeah, it can be a link to your Facebook page to leave a review there. It could be LinkedIn review. You could ask for them to, if you're a physical location at the moment, maybe not so, but Google reviews. I mean, we aren't really a location that people visit, but our clients do sometimes leave reviews on Google, or if you use something like Trustpilot or something like that, that can actually be automated as well with your e-commerce system, so that they get an automatic email from Trustpilot or FIFO or whoever your review site is, to ask for a review afterwards. And yeah, definitely, that's a really, really good point, Claire, about asking if you can use the review, because they put it on something like Facebook or Amazon reviews or something, but actually if you've got permission to copy and paste that testimonial, you can put it back in another email to the rest of your clients. Look what this client said, and then the cycle continues. And that sort of social proof that someone else has been happy with this product or service is a brilliant way to build trust. Mark, you've got a hand up.
Yeah, it's like cool. No, if someone's left a Google review or a Trustpilot review, which is the ones I use, if they've already done that, for me, it's already out in the world. They've already told everybody. So I don't put any more information on than what they've given. But for me, if you've already given that review out to the world, you're quite able to use that. Is that correct?
You are, but it's polite to ask, isn't it? So yeah,
I do have a. Sorry, part of my sign up when they come to the course and the register is, do I accept that I can use my image in promotional material and the bits and pieces? So I do have a make sure I have a form that they tick to choose whether they do or not, because it did the whole GDPR thing about a year or two ago, so I think terrified everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, definitely sort of reuse those reviews, and always asking for a review is a really, really good process to have. And certainly by default, if it's in the public domain, you can reuse that information, but you don't want to upset a customer by them suddenly seeing sort of an email from you with their quote that you've not asked permission to use. So it's always best practice to make sure that the clients know exactly what you're going to use it for. Normally, I will ask for a review. Once they've written me a review, I'll then email them again and say, thank you for your review, we really appreciate it. Are you happy for me to use your words in other promotional materials such as our website and email marketing? And social as well. An easy thing to do for your sort of content on social that's really, really good for building that social proof trust is take short testimonials, reviews, and do them as a little infographic, use Canva or something like that, and just put the text in as a little graphic and stick that in your social media. They work wonders. Okay, so transactional email.
What was that software?
Canva. I'll put it in the, in fact, Kieran, can you just put the link for canva.com in the chat? Because I'm moving about between screens and using the chat pad. Yeah, canva.com, really, really good little tool. You can even design Zoom backgrounds on there. so I shouldn't say that because we're selling Zoom backgrounds. You can see from my animated one at the moment, anyone wants a personalized Zoom background. But yeah, Canva's really, really good for designing little graphics for social media and for email, because it gives you the template sizes. So you can say, right, I'm designing a graphic for Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and it will give you a template that's exactly the right size for that platform.
That's really good, because I've got my own in-house graphic designer who does web, etc. He's worked for us now for 8 years, but he always kind of bespokes everything up. But if the apprentices could use something like that quicker, it enables you to get the message out quicker than going to the other guy, you know?
Yeah, definitely. We've got our graphic designer Zeun on. She's got trouble with her microphone at the moment, so she can't talk to us. But Zeun designs nice professional graphics that are sort of beyond the ability of some of the other team members, myself included, for when we're doing sort of really involved campaigns and things, and when she's got time. But we all jump on Canva and just knock things up every now and again. Whether Zeun approves of our efforts or not is another matter. But yeah, definitely, it's a really good, quick way. And if you just want to put a bit of text in, like a testimonial, it's a really, really easy way to do it. So this one is a sort of automated email from Amazon. I'm sure you've all received ones like this, but I just thought it was worth putting this in there, because as well as having a sort of the track your package, look at your order details, and sort of confirm your order, what I think is really important with that, go back one, is here's some other items that you might be interested in. And I think it's really important, and something that small businesses miss a lot, is that there's always an opportunity to sell with every communication. Even if it's just confirming an order that you've just made, there's always an opportunity to cross-sell and upsell, because you've got that person's attention. The thing about that is, you send out just a marketing email and you're promoting those products. Likelihood is that quite a lot of the people that receive that email are not going to open it, and if they do open it, they're not going to pay attention to that product that you're trying to sell. But if it's a receipt or a shipping confirmation, like this case, you're going to open it, you're going to look at it, and you're going to pay attention to what's in it in case there's something you need to know. So that is a captive audience that you have got an opportunity to get a message in front of. And if it's the right message, they're going to buy again. Yeah, so always every opportunity to inform people about your products, to promote, and to let them know what else you can do, what else you can offer. So one of the things we said right at the start is you've got to build your list. And if you just create a newsletter and send it to 10 people, you're never going to sort of expand your business, are you? So it's important to build your list. One of the really, really easy ways to do that is to have an email sign-up form on your website. And I'm assuming everybody's got one of those, but if you haven't, send me an email, talk to me, and we can probably help you do that. This is one of my favorites, because this is from Adobe, so they've got to demonstrate nice, clean design, haven't they? The industry leaders. But just a quick, succinct message, and by saying something like, to that strapline, join over 300,000 designers who get our new posts by email. What that's doing is suggesting that if you don't get this email, you are missing out. What it's not saying, oh, sign up to our email and get our posts. It's saying all these other people have signed up to this email. So if you've got a big list already, put that in there. Yeah, get that. Join the other 300,000 people who are subscribed to our list. If you haven't got a big list, then you can't do that. But you could say, join the range of designers or range of customers, or join. Don't miss out on the stuff that we're selling. Yeah. And then a little bit of an intro into news stories, free downloads, design tips. This is the benefit. This is what you're going to get out of it. So far too often, newsletter sign-up forms are just pop up, sign up to our newsletter. Why? Tell me why I'm signing up to the newsletter. Are you going to fill that form in if you don't know what you're going to get from that newsletter? You might as well put, give us your email address and we'll bombard you with marketing communications, haven't you? So actually explain that that you can offer more value. Yeah. So how do we build that list? Obviously, the obvious one, website sign-up form. If you've not got one, get one. It can be useful also because a lot of people will have just the sign-up form in the footer, or you might have the sign-up form on your homepage, on your contact page, or a pop-up. But it can be useful to have a dedicated sign-up form landing page as well. That is just a page with just your sign-up form on it. And the reason for that is you can use that as a link from other things. You can link to it from social media. Click here to sign up to our mailing list. You can put it in your email. Send your colleagues this link to sign up. Yeah. And prompt your visitors to sign up every opportunity. So don't just have the sort of form hidden at the bottom of the screen. Make sure that they're prompted, but not too often. So have that prompt show up the first time they visit the site, or when they've not visited for a certain amount of time. Most websites, you can use your cookies to control that. And always automatic sign up at the checkout. So someone mentioned GDPR earlier. One thing about the GDPR is if someone is buying from you, they are giving you permission to communicate with them because they filled out their information at the checkout. So always at that point, sign them up to your newsletter. Have that tick box. I'd like to sign up to the newsletter, because that's when they're switched on enough to sign up, because they're already engaging with you. And even if they don't sign up to your newsletter, you are still allowed to email them for transactional reasons. And if you've got a legitimate reason to contact them, so that could be, I want to follow up on their sale. I have something that may be of interest to them. So although GDPR, everybody panicked, everybody sort of reduced their list, took people out of their list and things like that, there was actually a lot of unnecessary panic. And most of the laws that people were trying to comply with was PECR rather than GDPR. So PECR is the Privacy and Electronic Communications Regulations. And basically, if someone is engaging with you in a transaction, then you have a legitimate reason to contact them. So if they're buying from you, get them in your list and they're more likely to buy again. Does anyone use gated content? Does anyone have any content on their website that you force people to sign up to a newsletter in order to read? Yeah, Matt?
Yeah, I'm muted. I said no, but that's an absolutely really good idea, that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we see it a lot in sort of techie websites. So it's quite common to us with sort of the search engine websites and things like that we view. But I think there's a lot more scope for it with small business. Gated content provides something. Sorry, Matt.
Sorry, I'm not muted. I'm talking to myself. I was just thinking, we've got like a load of technical tools that we developed because, like, I do a lot of things like flood modeling, drainage, sizing pipes, or whatever. So we've got a load of like little programs written in Visual Basic and things. You can allow you to download it, but only if you sign up.
Exactly. So if you've got something that is added value, give it out in return for a subscription rather than just for free. Yeah, make it added value. So we've just released a blog article, which is a very long blog article, which takes you a long time to read. But if you want to learn how to do your own SEO for your business, go on our website and read the latest article. But as part of that article, there are several contact forms through it, and some are expressing your interest about a certain service, but one of them is, now you've read all this stuff about SEO, download our SEO checklist. But in order to download the checklist, guess what you have to do? So if you have something that is of additional value and you can get a subscriber, use it, gated content. If you're using WordPress, there are some really, really easy ways to do that with WordPress. Okay, social media. Use your social media to build your list. You can integrate MailChimp with quite a few things now. You can put your link to your sign up form from your website, or in some cases you can put your sign up form actually in your social media. So you can link your MailChimp to your Facebook, and then they can sign up through your Facebook page. There's lots of different ways to do it. But at every opportunity, remind people within your social media, if you like this content, sign up to our newsletter, get more. Yeah. So share your link. What about hosting a contest? Yeah. Use your social media to say, sign up to our newsletter within the next week and you'll be entered into a competition. There's lots and lots of ways to get their email address out of them. An easy way is offer a discount. If you sign up to our newsletter, you get a 10% code off our website. Yeah. Or if you sign up to our newsletter, we'll give you a free audit or a free review or a consultation, anything that you can offer that's going to hook them in. There was a lot of discussion about incentivizing building your list around the GDPR stuff. And at the time, we were working on a project with the ICO, which was building educational content for university students. So we were basically writing lecture material and seminar material to teach university students about GDPR across different subjects. And it was a national project, so it was material they were going to put into all the universities. And one of the big sort of debates, because at the time we were writing the material, the ICO was still writing the GDPR material as well. So they were still deciding how to interpret the EU regulations into the British law. And the main thing that we had sort of a lot of discussion about was incentivizing email lists. Is it okay to say, if you sign up to our list, we'll give you a discount, and if you don't sign up to the list, then you don't get that discount? So the argument was that it's not fair to not give someone something because they haven't given you their email address. But actually, it's not that they're missing out, it's that they're not getting something extra. And I can remember when they made the decision, there was a working group from the ICO that were actually working through the night debating this thing, and it was about 12:30, so like gone midnight, and I got this sort of notice through saying, right, this is it, this is what we've decided, you can incentivize. But up until that point, you'd even got lots of digital marketing experts and lawyers and things saying, no, you can't incentivize your list, that's against GDPR. But I think there were a lot of scaremongering stories around at that time. If anybody's really not sure about something you're doing with your marketing and you want some GDPR advice, feel free to ask us. We're happy to give a bit of sort of free advice if you need it. And if you need something more involved, we have a data privacy practitioner who is sort of done all the Bar Society exams and everything for GDPR. She knows it all. So if you really, really need help with that or writing data privacy policies and things, come and ask us. So we've talked about the types of emails and how we build the list a little bit more. And then it comes to designing it. And I think nowadays we've got so many tools to do that it makes it a lot more easier, but we're not all designers. So if you don't have a graphic designer in-house, just really, really think about what that email looks like and screenshot it and put it big on your screen like that so you see the whole thing. You get an idea for the sort of look and feel of it across different inboxes. So the one about this one, and the reason I chose this one as a good example, is the use of colour. All too often we get really, really busy emails with lots of information in them, and you shut off because it's just craziness. The use of black and white with one single accent colour works really, really well across marketing channels, but particularly with email. So if you're able to do that, we're guilty of this because we have a logo with like millions of colours in it. So our emails reflect that a lot of the time. But if colour is critical to your brand, then make sure that your email marketing reflects it. So use colour to highlight things and sort of accent the bits that you need. Put calls to action in your email. All too often we send an email out and we get a little bit on our soapbox and this is what information we want you to know. But we forget to remind people to click through to our website. Here's a link. Or we put a little tiny read more at the bottom. Put a nice big yellow button like that one. Remind them what you want them to do. And when you write in your emails, actually think, what is the purpose of it? What do I want people to do with this email? Don't just put content out for the sake of putting content out. Have a purpose in mind. I'm sending this email because I want people to subscribe to this service, or I want to sell this product, or I want more people to read this blog article, or I want more followers on my social media. Whatever it is, get that call to action out there and write the email with a purpose. Link out. Don't just link to your own stuff, link to other useful content, but also lots and lots of links in there. You'll find when you look at your metrics that there are certain links that get clicked more than others. And one of the things you can experiment with is putting a link to the same content in different places. So make the image a link, have a read more button that's a link, have a bit of text that links to it, and see which works best, which resonates with your customers. How many people click each of those links? And then the next time you send an email out, use the one that works best. Be concise. Don't put, if you've written a really, really great article that's 1,000 words or 2,000 words, don't put all of it in its entirety in an email and send it out. Because likelihood is it won't get read, or the first sort of paragraph will get read and that's all. And no one's going to come back to it. So when it moves further down your email inbox, you're less likely to read it. So have the blog article, all the information on your website, and use the email for prompts. Here's my latest blog article. Here's an excerpt. Read more. Don't give them 3 pages in one email. And put the most important stuff first. So we often send an email out that's got some information about our services. It's got some blog articles in there. It might have some key marketing dates. It might have some tips and tricks, information about events and workshops that we're running. That's a lot of information for one email. So think about what the main message is and put that at the top. What's important at the top of the email first. Okay, so finally,
Jessica,
we've done
can I
all of
just
that.
ask, sorry, on
Yeah.
that, putting the most important content first, presumably it's from the customer point of view. So if you're offering, I don't know, a training session that you want people to buy to, that's important to you, but that might not be important to them, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a balance of both, I suppose, because it's your email. So you're setting the purpose of the email and it's the message that you want to get out. Oh, I think my sharing has paused. Just a minute. There we go. So it's your email. It's what you want to get out. So it's the message you want to put across. But yes, think about the audience as well. What are they actually expecting in this email? And don't bombard them with stuff they're not interested in. So that first sort of page before they scroll has got to have the hook there, something that interests them. And I think it's about having that synergy. So if what your customers want to receive and what you want to say are so far apart, then you need to have a really strong think about your marketing strategy overall, don't you? Because the whole point of sending these emails out is to give your customers what they're looking for. So that priority really needs to match, and that kind of comes back to your higher level strategy before you even start doing the sort of the marketing, writing the email. So I apologise when I put funnels on things, because I think it's so annoying when marketing people refer to the funnel, because it's so old fashioned now. But there are certain steps that people take through their journey with you, with any marketing, and in particular with an email. They've got to open it first, and then they've got to click on something, and then the rate at how many click to open will affect how many of those convert into sales and what your return on investment is for that communication, that bit of marketing. So we can't ignore the funnel entirely, so I thought I'd put the graphic there. But there are a few things to think about. Firstly, your open rate. And I know Claire mentioned at the beginning that you get a really good open rate on your emails. Out of interest, why do you think that is, Claire?
I think it's because I know what my customers want to hear about, and I do what you've said and put the most important thing first. Have a good headline, and the headline may be specific to something that's going off in their world at the moment. That's why they open it. And then I've had feedback that says the content is really engaging, really educational, and therefore they've enjoyed reading it and they've gone to the end.
Excellent. Yeah, it's I think there's a lot of things that affect open rate. The main one is what you put in the subject line. So never, ever, ever in the subject line put our June newsletter, our May newsletter, because we see that and we go, oh, it's just newsletter, delete. So give them a little bit in that subject line, a little hint of what's in the email. I don't know if anyone subscribes to Jamie Veach's emails from Sheffield Live, but if you don't, I recommend it. He uses the most outrageous subject lines, and often you're kind of a bit disappointed when you read the email, but they are engaging stories. He uses stories really well, but it's all about that subject line. So if your email includes, excuse me, it's not corona answer. If your email includes some blog articles, give them a little bit of an insight into what that blog article is about. Give them a headline rather than just here's our newsletter. And then, getting that engaging content at the beginning. So once we've got them to open it, we've then got to get them to click the links. And we've talked a little bit about how you use design to do that. But also the description of the links. So in your text, it could say, don't, sort of explaining about something and go, click here to read more. But actually, rather than saying that, say, enhance your knowledge about this here, or give them a bit more of a call to action with what you're saying. Excuse me, I've got a really tickly cough now. That's all this talking. Also, how many people forward your email on? Well, this is something that you don't get if you're not using a marketing tool like MailChimp, is actually see how things are forwarded. So if someone really likes your email, they're going to pass it on to someone else, which is the best way of sort of expanding your list, because they already think that that person's going to be interested in this content as well. Unsubscribes, they're always going to be there. Sometimes they'll give you a reason, sometimes they won't, but you can get an idea of the sort of things that might turn people off by looking at when your unsubscribes happen. Do you get more unsubscribes when you send the email at a certain time of day, for example? Do you get a lot more unsubscribes when you send a certain type of email, be it a certain marketing message or a transactional email? But have a look at how those unsubscribes happen and who they are. And then finally, and this is one of my favourites, is do some A/B or split testing. You need to have a reasonable audience size. You need to have built your list up to probably at least 500, I would say, before this is going to give you any meaningful information. But split your list up and have an A group and a B group, and experiment with different formats, with different layouts and designs, different text, different messages, different types of emails. Or even have exactly the same email and just change one tiny little thing and send it to the 2 different groups. And it's a great way of finding out what works and what doesn't. It can be long-winded and tedious to do this sort of testing, and it needs to be done consistently over time. But if you can use split testing effectively, then the next email you send, you're going to be able to really improve on those open rates and click rates and forwards, because you're finding out more about what works and what doesn't. MailChimp, and I keep referring to MailChimp because it's the one used by most people, but most of the email marketing tools that you use will give you that option to do A/B or split testing. If they don't, just split the list and send 2 separate emails. So even if you were doing, like Andy's disappeared, but even if you're doing what Andy was doing with the Word mail merge, you could still do split testing. Okay. And that is the end of the presentation, so I'll turn the sharing off. Any other questions?
I've got a question in the chat from Mark Dickens. How do you stop images from being blocked when they fall into spam?
Okay, so there's a few things. Firstly, use an email tool rather than just bulk sending. If you are bulk sending through something like Outlook, don't send more than 50 emails at once, because that can really affect things. One of the things I've found quite a lot lately is that a surprising number of people don't have their domain emails set up properly in the DNS. And what I mean by that is when your hosting company that look after your domain name, your @ so as is @zeun.co.uk, there is a sort of an extra layer of security that you can put into the domain settings. Does anyone use Gmail? Yeah. Do you often get emails in your Gmail inbox with a massive yellow message across the top that says, "We can't verify that this was sent from this sender"? Yeah. And you'll probably see more of that in other tools. Gmail's probably the first one that started doing it, but if you, sometimes it'll mention a DKIM or an SPF record. Yeah. And what that is a DNS record that you need to set up on your domain that confirms the email's been sent legitimately from that domain. And often emails that are sent through automated marketing tools or via your website, your transactional emails are a common one for this. You are sending from your website, but that's not the same server where your emails are hosted. So when the recipient receives it, it looks like it's not valid. So in Gmail, we're getting that big visual thing with the yellow saying, "We might not trust this." But if you didn't get that, in other email packages, the email package is still seeing it, even though you as a user aren't seeing that visual representation. And it's those missing security records that cause Outlook or whatever package you're using, even Apple Mail, to classify that email as spam. It's not that, oh, they're using MailChimp or they're sending a lot of emails out from that domain. It's usually, I'm going to try and verify that this is an actual email from that domain, and if I don't see the correct security records, I'm going to mark it as spam.
Right, so it's the SPF record and the, did you say DKIN?
DKIM record, yeah.
Thank you.
How would I check that, Jessica? Because I sent something to my claire@ascendocoaching.co.uk. So I was doing a PowerPoint presentation and I needed a photo that was on my phone and I couldn't find it on my laptop. So I went into my phones, which is an Apple phone, just went email it, and I emailed it to claire@ascendocoaching, which is my work email. It came through, it didn't go into spam, but it came up with the yellow box. So what's causing that to happen?
So what domain did you send it from?
Good question. I know I sent it to Claire so it could have gone from my personal one, which is still a Gmail, and it's gone to my Claire@Ascendo Coaching.
Right. You shouldn't have that yellow message from a Gmail account, because clearly gmail.com will have got their records right. And it's that.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's then from my Ascendo Coaching, which could explain why one of my mail list customers had said, "Oh, your email went into my spam. That's why I didn't see it."
It's likely, it would normally be the other way around. If you'd sent from @Ascendo Coaching to a Gmail account, and you'd not got the SPF and DKM records right, Gmail would flag it up. And it's normally Gmail that puts that yellow message up.
So it's coming up on my Ascendo Coaching one.
Are you using G Suite for Ascendo Coaching, or just Apple Mail?
G Suite, I think.
So G Suite does the same thing because it's using the Gmail platform.
Okay. So do I need to do anything or not?
I would check your DNS records with whoever provides your domain name.
Okay.
You've got an IT company that look after your domain name. Is it your web developer? Or?
No, I do everything myself now. So my domains are done through, I think it's 1&1, or it might be 123 Reg.
Okay.
Just need to check them.
If you find out which one it's with, and then drop me a message later, I'll send you some information about, because different providers are different for how you set up your records.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? Great. All right, thank you. There was a question in about that Andy asked, can you have kind of presentation? Kieran is recording the whole thing, so you'll get a copy of the whole event. I don't know if is it going on YouTube, Kieran?
We'll send a link in an email, and we'll put it across YouTube and social media or on his website. So there should be plenty of opportunity to view it again. Brilliant.
Okay. Mark also asked on your email, how do you stop images being blocked so they fall into spam? Images don't tend to be blocked. It's just that people don't have their email set to download them automatically. So it's not a massive problem. Most people are used to it, and if they get your email regularly, they'll usually put you in their trusted senders list anyway. But one thing I would say about emails is, if you send in a big newsletter and there's little text and mostly images, think about what it looks like when it loads without the images first. Because sometimes you get an email you don't even know it's from, because there's just nothing there until you download the images. So try and make sure there's enough text at the beginning to make them want to download the rest of the images and read the rest of the email.
Just on that, who would you recommend the from address comes from? In terms of, would it be an a personal address as in Kieran.Bridges, or would you recommend like an info@ or a hello@?
It depends what the email's about. So I think for sort of newsletters and things like that, it's nice for it to come from a person. It doesn't have to. Transactional emails, we expect it to be sales@ or info@ and things like that. One of the things I've seen used quite a lot is hello at your domain name, rather than just admin or info or whatever. I think that makes it a bit more personal, and it means it suggests that it's all right to reply back. So I think it's nice to have it from a person, but only if that person's going to be able to handle the volume of replies. So that depends on the size of the list. But if you're going to use a generic email, make it a friendly one. Never, ever, ever no reply at. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And hopefully I'll see some of you again on the next workshop.